And we are live. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Kim, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are
Good,
you?
good. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. I want to welcome everyone to another Speaking Bluntly podcast. This is Carlos, and co-host is Kim McCarthy. And Kim is with the Harvest and Plume magazine, the pipeline strategies, as well as the cannabis session. So, Kim, happy Thursday to you. And how's your week going so far? Yeah, I know. They're
Doing
all
all
blur.
right. And that's what always happens starting in October. Thanks,
Hmm.
Ashish.
Hey,
Thank you.
Sheesh. Thank
And
you.
by the way, for those who aren't celebrating any Indian holidays, um, the India just celebrated Diwali, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
here's on behalf of our community, um, a belated Diwali celebration to Ashish.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that, Kim. I appreciate it. Yeah. I just got home last night. I was in Oklahoma traveling with some work related travels. And so today I was getting caught up, emails. You know how it is when you travel, you try to do work when you can, but gets a little bit hectic sometimes.
Well, and then your wife gives you the evil eye, like,
You better be answering your texts and your calls while you're traveling. Yeah, but no, it's a very productive week, and I was excited. I spent some time just kind of going through a little bit in terms of the hemp rules that were laid out by the USDA. So I think that in part I really like how they're giving a little bit of time in terms of seeking input, suggestions, and it's a good thing. So hopefully by the time that it gets mapped out, all the states can get aligned. But overall, from what I've gathered, there's a lot of optimism about the industry as a whole. So,
I agree. Hey, Damon.
hey,
Um,
Damon.
I, it's going to be nice when we can finally have all of this just across the board. Um, what I found interesting, interesting in my own work is in November's issue of Harvest and Plume, I broke down more or less continents, the European continent, and
Yeah, I
celebrating
remember that.
harvest. And one of the things that surprised me was if you look at that, every single map has a red pin that says, here's where hemp is legal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the United States, I have an X over the pin that says it's not legal in Idaho and South Dakota, any of the territories, and DC. I
Okay.
think I got them all. Um, but anyway, it will just be so nice when across the board we don't have to have all these little nuanced considerations. It can just be from a business perspective a clean supply chain across the board, up and down, all around.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that in part, especially the rules, and you shared some great articles in regards to the testing and also just some of the CBD components in regards to some of the products and just the entire legal parameter around it. It just needs to get a little bit more uniform. That's for sure.
But cookies are done.
Uh-oh. What kind of cookies did you make?
Chocolate chip, vegan chocolate chip.
Yeah, nice. Good for you. Mr. Carlos, Miss Kim, two awesome people. Oh, very nice. Talk to you soon. Somehow sending lots of
Oh,
love.
thank you,
Thank you,
Damon.
Damon. Very nice of you. Really
He's
appreciate
the
that.
art manager for David Cal Lawrence, who did those fantastic pieces of Johnny Cash and what's coming up is Snoop Dogg. Oh my God, Snoop
Oh,
Dogg,
nice.
Peeping Tom, and Bob Marley, and
Uh-huh.
I missed it, and Tupac. Yeah. So anyway, he's the manager for that artist.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, in part, like, just I'm not sure if you caught the article. I should have shared it with you, but in Oklahoma this past week was one of the largest. Basically, they took people who had been, prior convictions with, the cannabis and all that kind of stuff, and they basically allowed. It was like upwards of like 450 individuals were released at one time, and just the overall in terms of and you've seen the reports as well as far as the incarceration rate of the how disproportionate it is to the African American community, the Hispanic community benchmark. And gosh, if this is just one state, imagine what that potentially looks like nationwide.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, I try when these huge events happen in life, um, I try to put it in perspective in some timeline um, that I've learned about in history. So what would this be equivalent to? Certainly not the wall coming down. Um,
Right.
no, that's too tiny, in my opinion. That this is literally like opening up the plantations and saying, granted, there needed to be a plan after that, but it was there you go.
Yeah, yeah, and then also taking a look at it also in some of the states and what they're doing in terms of just ensuring that there is some type of equality programs out there established for the industry as a whole, whether female entrepreneurs or minority entrepreneurs that are interested in getting into this space. So they're getting pretty creative, and I'm glad to see that. I think that's the responsible way to go about it.
Oh yeah, and that's the fun part. I'm talking with another entrepreneur. He's an artist wanting to get into. Like actually he's in the industry doing logos and whatnot, but he's in the LA community,
Okay.
and and he has his own struggles trying to get in the industry, and he has all these great ideas. And we were talking. Matter of fact, on his behalf, for anyone in well, for anyone that he happens to be in Los Angeles, will you please very briefly talk about the incubator program that's coming up? Because I was telling him about it and I said, I'll get you the link, but maybe you can talk about it
Yeah,
briefly.
absolutely. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and it's with Canopy Boulder, which is an incubator program, and they specifically like to take a look at particular CBD related. They really stay out of like grows for the most part. So they're looking at like the technology aspect, the cannabidiol, the CBD. And what they do is they take early stage businesses, companies, and they allow them to basically submit an application, submit the proper paperwork, just showing his business established. And then what they do is they bring them out for a 12 to 13 week program out in Colorado. And they pretty much give them I think it's an initial 100K up front, maybe 80, don't quote me on that, in between 80 and 100K. And what that's specifically used for is obviously to pay for them during that time period that they're out there. Obviously, there's probably some equity at that state that they take part in. But then what they do is they really customize the approach to the individual. So maybe it's someone that has great marketing, however, their operational side, or vice versa. Operationally, they know the production side, but then the marketing side, they need some help. And they customize that approach to actually help that particular business. And once you get through the initial process, so you get to network with other CEOs. They have a wonderful mentor program to help them establish, what those are. And it really kind of helps them to get that, dial in, get that business, that business, the pro forma, the pitch deck, get all that aligned. And then what they get to do is after that is with their affiliation with the ArcView Group, as the ArcView Group has these different events around the country, that they potentially get to participate with those. So yeah, so it's a really wonderful program, and for early stage, and it's quite a bit of a commitment, in terms of the time period. And I believe they do it like 2 or 3 times a year that they host that program. So I think it's a great program to help early startups to get that incubator program going, and to help them to achieve the goals that they want as an entrepreneur.
I Now I don't know this because I pretty much hold myself up in front of my computer. I have the flat irons right here, and my blinds are closed.
Hmm.
So I don't know if this is happening, but I would think that that would be a fantastic opportunity for community meetings. To bring that information to either the communities of interest or communities of disproportionate going through the economic empowerment entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
and and maybe even the families of the members who are just getting ready to be released from these
Right.
programs. And I think
Hmm.
that would be fantastic because it's like bridging your way, not just getting out, but it's bridging your way into an opportunity and to better your life, your career.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so, you can go to canopyboulder.com to learn. They just closed out one session that I believe starts in December, January time period, but then they will do this again. And there's a podcast series that's available that you can go and listen to some of their podcasts. And then they do have a large group of mentors who are established to help the individual entrepreneurs as they go through that. I'm one of the I just joined not too long ago, but just one of the Canopy Boulders, just the actual mentor program. So I'm excited to learn more about it, and hopefully at some point participate in one of their events. And like I said, I did do a podcast with the CEO Patrick Ray about 3 weeks ago. You can see it right there. So you can go to Rogue 420, the YouTube channel, and listen to it. And he does a much better job of talking about the program, everything that it entails. And yeah, I'm just excited about that. And I think for this industry and getting into it, you want to make sure to align yourself with. And we've talked about this before, Kim. Just align yourself with people that are going to be able to help mentor and shape the growth that you foresee for your company, because there's a lot of risk associated with it as well.
A lot. It's yeah. Um, I didn't know it, but today apparently is my 3rd year anniversary of being an entrepreneur. And so, you start getting all those ding, 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 ding from LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, why am I being congratulated? So I find out, and then that's when you start reviewing how, 3 years later, I got here. And just like everyone else, you cry a lot, you laugh a lot. You find out who, for good, bad, or indifferent, you find out who are your strong supporters. Either the people who kick you in the butt to move along, or the ones who have a soft shoulder for you to fall on. And
Yeah, yeah,
you find out a lot when
y-
you become an
absolutely.
entrepreneur.
And it's a great time for it. What I recently put out with our team is to start thinking about 2020. We're in November already, and start mapping out some of those goals. And one of the things I try to do, Kim, is to kind of self-assess in terms of the year, the successes of the year, the opportunities from the year, and then from there write down a couple of goals, not only for your organization operation, but then for yourself personally as well, in terms of self-development. I don't think that anyone ever can stop trying to become better, whether it's in communication or organization, all those things. And one of the things I'm going to put for one of my goals for next year is I used to read a lot of business books, whether bios or motivation books, all those, and I haven't for quite a while.
Who
And
took my cheese? Who took my cheese?
yeah. And I need to get back at that. One of the great books my sister really influenced me this at a very young age. It was actually in high school, and she gave me the book "See You at the Top." That's one of the you've probably heard of that book, a Zig Ziglar book about a positive attitude and who's kicking your cat and all those kinds of things. And that was to kind of set the stage for it as far as getting excited about it. And so it does help. And maybe I'll cheat and get an audiobook program instead. That way I can
Yeah,
multitask.
that's I'm more of a visual person, so I'm not a good book on tape type of person. But it, because I have a very active and outdoorsy dog, she's a Husky, and so our morning walk is at least an hour. Sometimes it's 2, depending on how crazy she is. And that is the only time. And I stick it in YouTube. There's some YouTube reading it off, or um, Alan Watts. I actually like his presentations best. It's a very soothing voice. But yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Getting back to
Yeah.
the point,
Yeah.
listening to it
No,
my
it's
favorite.
fine. Yeah, and you shared some interesting, articles, and I want to bring that up and talk through this a little bit, because I think it goes to the education part of of this industry, and some things for people to be mindful of as we navigate. And this first one that came up is just that some CBD products may yield cannabis positive urine drug tests. So what are your thoughts on that, Kim?
Well, first of all, I'd like to preface these links. Thank you so much to one of my partners at Mark Linskog. He's new to our team and he's doing all the research and the content. So he found this, and I find it very interesting because of the people strategies perspective. This, it has a severe effect on people getting a job, as well as people who just want to interview. So many qualified professionals remove themselves from consideration simply because of fear. They don't know if the testing it's only supposed to pick up, say, heroin, but marijuana is hooked in with that. So depending on literally what tests the people are paying for, the more expensive ones. This is interesting because now this gives people an out to
Hmm.
say it in the fine print. As you go down farther, it says, if you're using CBD, you're not a one-time user. You have arthritis like I have on my thumb joint.
Hmm.
um, so you're constantly putting in those tinctures and salves and lotions, and apparently 0.3% adds up in the system. It actually adds up in your fat. So you need to flush your fat. That's what it comes
Right.
down to. But it's an interesting loophole.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a few different perspectives in regards to the testing, and then people have to just keep in mind that know your employer, know your rules for your employer, whether your company does random drug tests, and just I think it's important to establish that, because even though something may be legal to purchase, such as CBD related products, it doesn't mean necessarily that your employer may screen for, like, in terms of like the THC, and you nailed it in terms of how much you consume. But I think also just in terms of know your products, I think it's very important to know that whatever product you're picking up from the shelf, that you can know that that's from a trusted source, that there's a QR code that you can scan to go look at it, and understanding the significant difference between isolates of CBD, and then also the full spectrum products, which do have the 0.3% THC or less. So I think it's a great time to kind of review that, because people are excited about the products and using them. And the last thing that we want in this space is for someone to be utilizing full spectrum CBD oil or full spectrum product, end up going in for drug tests, and because of the amount of the consumption and usage, that they flag for the THC. But essentially, I'm hoping that, and it's happening already, is that employment rules and laws will catch up with those to understand those variations and those differences.
Exactly. And there was another article. It's been very recent, but it was about can't remember where now, darn it. But that the police, they confiscated just a huge
I
amount
saw
of
that.
what they thought was marijuana,
Yeah.
and it ends up being hemp. And that's comes down to education again. That now it's almost becoming laughable at the differences for those who are still in the stigmatized corner, you know? So
Hmm.
those who still have that belief system and stigma, um, it's becoming laughable to say you really need to know your grow. You need to know about this industry a lot more than damning it, because guess what? Like you said, it is full steam ahead.
Right.
Catch
Absolutely.
up or step up.
And yeah, and we're seeing that literally everywhere, currently with the space. And with in regards to the testing and the CBD, again, I think it's just I think it's just so important. Most products will have like a QR code for the testing, but those will become the industry standards in terms of the products, and being able to verify the testing data, and to make sure. I mean, look at the vape is a perfect example where it was a significant amount of black market product, and it really for a minute it really disrupted an entire sector of CBD with the vape and the nicotine. So it was very, very alarming. So again, just know where you're purchasing your product from, trust your sources. I think that's sound advice. Just be a smart, savvy consumer.
And that was another thing that I'm really surprised that there was another link that I sent, that the CDC is saying, oh, be very, very careful about THC vapes. And, it's the THC, and I think it's horribly misled. Yeah. No, there's another one. Although I did send, to get the real scoop, to get
I
the
may
real
have missed it.
chisel on this.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Um, I sent the doctor's notes. Um, a question about this and say, you know what? Here's the link. Give me the straight snizzle on it. So when I get it, I'll let you know. Because I
Okay.
find it very interesting. Did you read it? It's
Yes, I have not read this article yet, but we can definitely put these in the comments. And this one comes to us from Technology Network. CBD THC used during early pregnancy can disrupt fetal development. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Again, exactly what you said, that if you have an industry expert to touch base on it. But I think in part, what really is going to help with this is when they remove it from the schedule, to be able to do more of those clinical study programs, to do this, the clinical studies to show and warrant these types of articles. And, just I always, when I read things, I'm like, probably like you, where I like to do a little bit more digging. But there's numerous articles like this, and if we can circle back to it once we get a more defined answer in regards to THC and this as it relates to this article.
yeah, because I've read other articles, but I guess it's all perspective. I've read other articles that say that CBD should be a welcome part of your program, your ritual, your regimen, whatever you want to call it, during pregnancy. Um, so I have questions.
Yeah, definitely, definitely questions. And there's, a couple different schools of thoughts in terms of what age and everything, in terms of like the THC. And what I'd like to do at some point, it'd be nice to, do maybe some joint interviews together, and have some of the medical professionals on our podcast, and, have them answer some of these questions and what their experience is in working with some of their customers and their patients regarding CBD and THC.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that'd
clear
be a
on
good thing.
that.
And then also you shared this. I thought this was very interesting. Sun Valley man builds a home with hemp. That's exciting.
And guess where he's building it? Idaho.
Where? Idaho.
Guess where
Awesome.
hemp is not legal?
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
I love it. Just in the face of adversity, I'm going to build it. I'm going to build it and the people will come. And clearly he has a team, because they've built more than one. He has a team of people who build sustainable homes, and hemp is one of the products. It's not the whole product, but I think that's fantastic.
Oh
Someone has
yeah.
to step up and say, look, I'm providing homes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty simple.
Right. Yeah. And think of like the homelessness rate in certain parts of the country, and if they could do, these makeshift tiny homes, and that it's an ideal environment for someone, and they can. I mean, I think at this stage of where we are in development, to look at the homeless rate in the United States, there's somewhat kind of a social responsibility, I think, in part, that we need to take a look at that. And it's one of those issues, I think, as a developed country nation that we are, we should be concerned about that. It's just alarming in certain parts of the country where homelessness is just a very, very a good chunk of percentage. It's on the escalation year after year.
I, you know, what I'm about to say has nothing to do with the industry at all. Just people, just being human. Um, what happened to us? Because way back when, in Western times for America, uh, everyone was welcome. If you're a traveler and you come across a ranch, they open up their home and their kitchen. They gave you enough water along with your horse, any supplies that you'd need, and then the next day or a couple days, they'd send you on your way. The same thing with American Indians, Native Indians, uh, Native Americans. They welcomed people who came across that who clearly were not from their tribe,
Right. Yeah.
and and here we are just constantly rejecting people, and this is what happens when you reject people.
Yeah.
Now we have a problem. And if we
Hmm.
get back to welcoming people, and just with an open heart, giving something, it's maybe you don't feel comfortable opening your home, but you can give something to help, supplies, whatever, so they can
Sure.
keep moving along.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because obviously I do other different types of podcasts and everything, and it's very unfortunate, but the most of information that we're fed is just how divided we are, as a country, how separated we are. And how technology has shifted so much of just in terms of communication. We can no longer have debates. It's either I'm unfriending you or blocking you because I don't like what you had to say. But we need to figure that out. We truly do. And then in terms of like media and content, is producing some more feel good stories in the environment to really show and teach that that we're not as divided as a country as the some people like to make us to believe. Do we have differences? Absolutely. But I've seen some, and I'm sure you have, Kim, as well, some really great stories about, someone helping someone without even, wanting the props or the pat on the back, that just, was, these great stories. So maybe we could make it a part two, purposely like look for one story a week and kind of share that and keep that message resonating with our audience.
I love that. And hopefully like a pay it forward thing. So people can say, hey, this is what I did. And hopefully it inspires others, whatever it is. Because we really need to get back to just being human.
Yep. Yeah. Well said. Well said. I completely agree. Kim, what else is on your radar for this week? And I know you're busy with all that you do and everything. So what else do you have going on?
Well, I have my last quarter stretch campaign, the marketing campaign, because as you know it, you'll start saying this in January, February. Before you know it, it'll be Halloween. And from Halloween till the first of the year, if you don't have your goals met at that point, you're start looking for a new job, which you won't be able to get until after the new year.
Yeah.
Because they're not looking at resumes.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm working on this marketing package for a logo reveal and some mini holiday vids, so that you can send those out in your social medias and share with your network and emails and whatnot. So that's among the other things. That's what I'm
Cool.
working on.
Excellent. And then if you don't mind, for our listeners, if you can go ahead and plug your sites and all that kind of good stuff for us.
Sure. It's Harvest and Plume, and at the Canna Sessions. And I'm embarrassing myself to say I'm never on Twitter. Someone updated my Twitter. I didn't know my Twitter. I've been saying my Twitter account wrong the whole time.
At your recruiting pro, at you are recruiting
Well, that's
pro.
for the pipeline strategies.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For the cannabis sessions, I think it's the cannabis sesh SES1.
Okay.
That's awful. I should know that.
Well,
but okay, look it up and y'all tell me what it is.
That's right. We'll look it up. We'll bookmark it, and then that way we can share it, because I'm not even sharing the right Twitter page right now.
Well, I have like so many of them.
Well, that's a good problem to have, right? Yep.
I got to be active about it. You know what? Flip it back to you. What are you working on?
Yeah. Well, so in part, primarily getting ready for the end of the year business cycle. And then looking into some goal setting for 2020. That's the primary focus right now. And then currently there's a great, about a week and a half. It's called Hemp at the Crossroads event. It's going to be in Indianapolis, Indiana. So it's going to be a great conference. Come out and learn about testing. It's going to be a lot about education. There is going to be a trade show there as well. For vendors. So I'm excited to go in there and learn about that. And then we do have a unique opportunity with one of the companies that I help with, called My CBD Edibles. And we are part of Indiana Grown, which it's, basically companies that try to source, that are manufacturing Indiana. They try to use Indiana ingredients, which we definitely want to get to at some point with our CBD. But they're actually going to, at the Indianapolis airport, they're actually going to do an Indiana Grown marketplace, an actual store in the Indianapolis airport. So we get the opportunity to go in and pitch and bring our products and say, hey, this is why we think this product should be at the airport. So those are some of the things that we're working on. And we'd love to get our products at the airport where people could come in and see them there at the Indiana Grown store.
Congratulations in advance. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, we're very excited to become part of, Indiana Grown and the community that's there. There's different events. And when this came about, that, hey, there's going to be a retail store marketplace there at the airport. And then when I was flying out the other day, I actually walked by the section that was in, and they have it detailed out, and it says Indiana Grown. So if we don't get selected this time, it doesn't mean that maybe we won't for next year. So we'll just stay optimistic, but yet we just appreciate the opportunity to be even considered and an opportunity to select, show our products and hopefully get selected.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
I send you good wooju.
I need it. Well, Kim, we'll do this again next week. And again, for our listeners, please like, share, subscribe, and then we'll work on, as far as the next week, maybe we can land, get a medical professional on to talk about those articles and some of those follow-ups. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be great.
All right. Excellent, Kim. Well, until next week. And then again, thank you all for listening in and enjoy your afternoon. Thanks, Kim.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.